Live from the shores of Japan, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV. This afternoon, we get set to duke it out once again for Thursday night racing action. Welcome back to the Speed Cup Series and to round number 2. It's a brand new facility, and this one kicking off from the shores of Japan as we get set to go racing at the Mobility Resort Motegi. It is the first time ever that this racetrack has found itself featured on the Speed Cup Series schedule, and you know that means there's going to be a lot of drivers that are looking to get their hands dirty this afternoon, looking set to duke it out around this brand new facility, and it'll be an interesting one to see where everybody's going to land up here throughout the course of the afternoon. It's, of course, just race 2 of an extensive schedule, and while you thought today was a wild card race, look no further than to kick off August. The Chicago Street Course brings it up for the third round of the season, just shy of Richmond Raceway. There's a lot of really difficult tracks coming up that could look to thin the herd and give us the drivers that will be fighting for that championship who could be the best all-rounders throughout the duration of the season. You take a look at the championship standings following Indianapolis. Brandon Fetterplace taking his first win in his first ever Speed Cup Series start, puts himself into the number 1 spot for the points. He is currently 5 ahead of Martin Plood himself 1 ahead of Darling, and then from there, it's pretty orderly all the way back throughout this field, and all throughout the top 20. 24 points separate first from that number 20 spot where Jason Taylor currently sits. Motegi Major stands with the bump spot over here for that chase for the cup, but still a long way to go before we can even seriously start talking about championship hopes for anybody in this field. Right now, we're still in that wild card phase where everybody trying to get themselves up and sorted. Let's ride on board here with Charles Simmer as he looks to take you for a lap or two around Mobility Resort Motegi here on this afternoon. So coming across the line for lap number 2, this time by for Charles Simmer. That time good enough for the number 18 spot. But you can see just how difficult of a racetrack this place is going to be for everybody up here this afternoon. Turns 1 and 2 much wider, more sweep into them. Much like Darlington, turn numbers 3 and 4, you have to jump on the binders a good bit more getting into turn number 3 if you want to slow that car down in time to make the turn. 16.7 degrees of banking. Or sorry, other way around, 17.6 degrees of banking throughout all of the corners, so no progressive banking at Mobility Resort Motegi. And races I've seen here in the past, this track has been very bottom lane heavy. And you can see that banking, not a lot at this racetrack, more akin to what we see at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as, boy, oh boy, Brandon Fetterplace really kicking the tail end out. He will not be able to put down a qualifying lap as he will find himself having to start this race more towards the tail end of the field. So last week's winner just making it in at the buzzer, and that's going to leave us with 25 drivers returning for racing action that we did not, including a few that we did not see over at the season opener at the Brickyard just a week ago. We'll get to see who all those drivers are just a moment, but for now, let's take a rundown of what your starting grid is going to look like here as we get set to go racing for 97 laps of action around this beautiful oval in Japan. Ryan Shelton starts this race from pole. Christopher Darden, the Season 1 champion, starts his race in the number 2 spot. Bad blood potentially brewing between the top 2 here after Darling punted Ryan Shelton around. Shelton was not happy with that one in the overtime attempt down at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll see how this will pan out with both of them starting on the front row. Martin Plood and defending champion Jason Gracias bring it up row numbers 3 and 4. From there, Ben Mashburn and Ethan Amberg bring it up on row number 3. Row 4 holds Florida native Motegi Major alongside Vincent Motorsports driver Joey Barrett. Out of California, it's Tim Branson with Dalton Powell making his first start this afternoon, rounding out the top 10. Zedarius Days brings it home with the number 11 spot with Jason Shu in 12th. Stan Housen is 13th. Josh Emerson starts in 14th. Andy Olivier is in 15th with Doug Milner in 16th. Scott Leonardo da Vinci Leonard for Hillbilly Motorsports down to the number 17 spot. Charles Simmer going to be down in 18th. Continuing down through your field, Jason Taylor for Black Flag Motorsports brings it up at 19th spot with Michael Mooney rounding out the top 20. Corey Hutchinson down in 21st, Mark McFadden in 22nd, Matthew Mystical brings it home in 23rd, Bobby Anderson and your last week's season opener winner, Brandon Fetterplace, bring up the rear of a 25-car field. So I just waited on one of the last drivers, Bobby Anderson, to grid on up, and then we'll get this show on the road. But you can tell right now a lot of drivers really eager to get a rundown of how this race is going to pan out. One driver to keep an eyes on tonight going to be that number 19 Ford Mustang. Scott Leonard comes into this race with making his first ever start for the Hillbilly Motorsports crew. I'm very curious to see where he's going to be finding himself by the time we get to the conclusion of racing action here on this Thursday afternoon. So the field working itself out of pit road and onto the back straightaway. It's a very humid day out there on the racetrack. A lot of fog overhanging this racetrack. 84 degrees Fahrenheit in the air on the track this afternoon. 73 degrees Fahrenheit on the circuit. And you can tell just all this fog. You could wreak some havoc over here if some smoke starts to fly from cars going around. It's very, very easy for you to lose that back end. We saw that a few times all throughout qualifying and even throughout practice as well. Heck, even Indianapolis threw up a few problems for us early on with some curveball early yellow flags. So we'll see how all this is going to get set to pan on out as we'll get set to go racing at Mobility Resort Motegi. The iRacing pace car going to make its dive down and into pit road. We're happy that you're joining us over here on this absolutely beautiful Thursday night into the Geico Restart Zone. It's go, go, go from Japan! So Ryan Shelton leading the way at the tail end of lap number 1 as we get this show officially underway. You can see the rest of the field looking to fan it out. Too wide behind on that mat. Scramble through turn numbers 1 and 2. Ethan Amberg, Martin Plouffe going side by side as they work it out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. A very long sweeping turn 2. And now Ben Matchford going to put it 3 wide down on the inside, trying to overtake Martin Plouffe and Winotzi Major. Ashburn throwing it in, can't make the move. So Major going to hang on, trying to drive around the top side. Ethan Amberg still in the mix as well. We're still 3 abreast all the way down that front straightaway. And the yellow flag going to fly and puts an end to this three-wide bout in the early going. As Charles Simmer and Bobby Anderson both go around on the back straightaway. Anderson going to take the toe to pit road. While the number 42 Mountain Dew Chevrolet Camaro is going to be finding himself with some heavy damage early on. So first yellow flag coming out early from Mobility Resort Motegi. Let's take a run down and see what happened to bring out caution flag number 1. So Bobby Anderson out in front. And he's just going to get, oh, wow, right rear hooked by the 509 hard into the outside wall and right into the path. Nowhere for Simmer to go. That would be Matthew Mystical that ended up hooking that 5 hard into the wall, but didn't see enough to really see if there was a case of Mystical going down or the 5 coming up. It may have been a little bit of both. That is a heavy shot into the fence. Unfortunately, aerial cameras won't be able to tell us much on this one, but it kind of looks a little bit like Mystico was pinching Anderson down. Not the way he wanted to kick this race off. Let's ride on board with Anderson. Anderson's following the lines of the cars in front, and I think Mystico was trying to keep himself down. It just didn't go the way he thought it would. Jason Taylor jumping in the pit road, and he's going to take a few in with him. Mark McFadden and Jason Shu also coming down the pit road early on. Curious to see so many drivers into pit road at the early stages of this race. With the yellow flag currently out on the racetrack, I want to thank some of the folks that helped keep the lights on for the Speed Cup Series. Tonight's race is brought to you by Brookstone Animal Hospital. Brookstone Animal Hospital is a AAHA accredited full-service veterinary boarding, medical, and grooming facility serving Metro Atlanta with a mission to provide modern and up-to-date medicine while also tailoring care to the health and well-being of all animals. Visit brookstonevet.com to schedule your appointment today. And by Beer Street Journal, one of the largest online collections of original content dedicated to covering beer culture, education, and the advancement of the beer industry. With thousands of articles, millions of unique visitors, and exposure in over 200 countries, Beer Street Journal is paving the way to enabling category growth, engaging a broader consumer base, and promoting better tasting beer for years to come. BeerStreetJournal.com, the best in beer. Other sponsors of the Speed Cup Series include Twisted Steel Steak Appeal, Simbrat Market, and Tires Plus Total Car Care. So lights go out aboard the iRacing pace car. We'll get set to go green flag racing this time by. And the U.S. Air Force Camaro so far remaining unchanged in his positions with the race lead, with Christopher Darling lining up to his outside. Shelton going to pick the inside line for the restart. "25 cars started this race after a heavy hit into the outside wall. Bobby Anderson will become the lone retiree of this race. The remaining 24 all still stand on the lead lap. So the 99 going to be set to make its way into turn numbers 3 and 4. Christopher Darley to his outside as we'll work our way back through 3 and 4 towards that front stretch. Ryan Shelton showing a lot of speed in the early goings of these races. And we'll see if he can continue to show that speed as we'll go back to green flag racing in Japan. Well, a good launch right out of the gate, looking for 3 wide behind. Ben Mashburn thought about going to the inside of Garcias, and Amberg couldn't make the move to the throw to the inside. He will get to the inside of Ethan Amberg as they get off of turn 2, but it will not be a 3 wide attempt like we saw him trying earlier on with a few of the drivers further down the field. Other folks trying to make moves. You see Dalton Powell taking that Highland Motorsports number 51 up early on. And trouble for Mystical. He has found the outside wall hard. That left front is junk on the 509. And this looks like it could be 2 for 2 on that 500 of the night car, not being able to finish racing action this afternoon. Technical problems. We fell him at the Brickyard, and looking like that one may have been a self-inflicted error coming off of turn number 2. We'll take a look, show you what happened. Ryan Shelton still leads the way. Oh yeah, just lost the back end, got unsettled, and never let the car get a chance to settle in. Body slams the inside wall, huge for the Camaro. So we're down 2, less than 10 laps into this race. No caution for the incident on the back straightaway. Ethan Amber looking to apply the pressure on Jason Garcias, going for 3rd. Can't get to the inside. Motegi Major behind, seeing if he can't sizable pass on Ben Mashburn. further behind. Tim Branson and Brandon Fetterplace going at it. Fetterplace, the Brickyard winner, seeing what he can do. As the number 34 entry trying to pull around the top side of Tim Branson's machine, and Fetterplace going to get by him. So Fetterplace up into ninth, and the caution is out again. And another crash off of turn 4. Jason Shu this time going into the inside wall to the Budweiser number 3. And I think he knew right away when he's trying to move it. That car was not going anywhere anytime soon. Shelton still leads. Let's take a look. Coming around all by himself through 3 and 4 at the tail of the field. Oh, the 42. Oh, boy. Wow. Charles Simmer cleaned out the 3, and that car nearly went upside down. That was not self-inflicted at all. That was Charles Simmer just drifting down the racetrack. I'm not sure what he thought he was doing there. Take a look at this at speed. This is a huge hit. Kicked up, all 4 wheels got off the ground. That car nearly tipped over on a wild wreck coming through turn numbers 3 and 4. Goodness gracious. You can see a little bit of the sky there in that one. Let's take a ride on board with Shu. Oh, Charles Simmer, Bart McFadden both blew the corner. I wonder if Simmer was loose. That would explain a lot if he was. Let's take a ride on board. No, not loose. I just don't think he was paying attention and realized there was a car down there. Golly, that is a huge hit into the outside wall. Once again, a few cars in the pit road. Jason Taylor, Michael Mooney, Martin McFadden. And then your 3 retirees, the 3, the 509, and the 5. So a big hit early on. 3 cars now out of this race, only 10 laps in. Bobby Anderson wrecked it before he could get to lap 2. Matthew Mystical wrecked it on lap 6. And Jason Shu turned hard into the wall on lap 9. Shelton continuing to lead the way up front. Christopher Darling just in tow. All 3 manufacturers with representation in the top 5. It's a Chevy, then 2 Toyotas, and then a Ford. Toyota definitely the dominant runner up front, with all Toyota runners, bar 1, in the top 10. And all the Fords, bar 1, out of the top 10. Yellow flag still flies from the Mobility Resort Motegi. We're going to take ourselves with a step back. When we return, there'll be more green flag racing from Mobility Resort Motegi.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where Ryan Shelton continues to lead the way as we work our way back into turn numbers 3 and 4. We'll be restarting this race on lap 15 of 97, coming to the conclusion of yellow flag number 2 this afternoon. And at the rate we're going, I'm sure there's going to be a few more before the night is out. To the restart zone. Green flag up in the air. We are back underway. Shelton pulling clear. Once again, Mashburn looking for the send to the inside of Amber. Couldn't make the move on Gracias. So far, off of turn 2, still clean. And looking like it is going to stay that way. So Ben Mashburn trying to contend for the 3rd spot. He's going to lunge to the inside of the MGR Camry. And how about that? Ben Mashburn puts his machine up and into 3rd. A great drive for him. Bit of double file still being had deeper in the pack as Josh Emerson trying to go around the outside of Joey Barrett, but the Vincent Motorsports John Deere Camaro trying to fend him off, but Barrett can't do anything. Emerson going to power through on the top side off of turn number 2, but he's into the wall. And now we got cars sliding out. Dalton Powell clipped the outside fence as well and nearly lost it on the back straightaway. He now finds himself side by side with Scott Leonard. How about your Indianapolis winner, Brandon Fetterplace? He's been on the move so far all race long. Started his run way back. He is now up 18 spots after starting last. Just got around Martin Plout. Plout not going to let him get in there easily. The rookie versus the veteran. And Martin Plout's been there since the beginning. Looking like Fetterplace has got it though. Turns 1 and 2 still looking to be a strong zone for drivers to try and set themselves up. Brandon Fetterplace looking to the inside of Motegi Major. As Fetterplace takes that one down low, Major up high. And Brandon Fetterplace continues to work his way through the field. He is now looking to go into the 6th spot. Well, that outside line has so far been nigh unbeatable for drivers here this afternoon. Single file all throughout the field. Fetterplace again with the run, but he's going to slip up and get loose off of turn 2. That puts him under fire from Martin Plout. But Fetterplace going to hang this one on. Up the road, Ethan Amberg on the move. He gets around Jason Garcia, so a beautiful pass there. Sized him up and made the lunge. Round the outside at turn numbers 1 and 2. Take a look on board. Just pinched Garcia in perfectly. Ethan Amberg taking no prisoners this afternoon. And right now, everybody within the top 6 separated by under a second. Mashburn on the offensive against Christopher Darley for the number 2 spot. That could give Ryan Shelton a chance he needs to pull away. And now Darling looks to the inside of Shelton, and he's not going to get there. But the battle is certainly on for the lead. Ryan Shelton is under some heavy, heavy fire right now. Nobody in this running allowing that 99 car to go easily. Bobby Anderson was not down and out as much as we thought. He makes his way back onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, Ethan Amber trying to pressure Mashburn for third around the outside. Once again, Darling looking low on Shelton as you get down into turn numbers 3 and 4. Shelton pulls clear. Mashburn round the outside of Darling. So Darling's offensive quickly turned to the defense as Mashburn got the gloves off. And all the while, Ethan Amber continues to wait in the wings, waiting for his opportunity. Amberg jumping down to the inside of Mashburn. Can we get Mashburn in with a run? No, we can't. Mashburn drifts it wide on the outside of turn number 2. Here comes Christopher Darling to the inside of Ryan Shelton down into turn 3. Darling seeing if he can't get a nose in there. Well, he's got the nose ahead, but Ryan Shelton still charging hard, trying to fight it back around the top. Now Shelton looking to pinch Darling in. Shelton tracking way out wide, trying to get some of that extra momentum from the banking off the top side. Now trying to pinch Darling in down the back straightaway, but I think Darling might have this one. Darling sweeps up. Slides across the nose of Shelton. But Shelton with the bobble, Darling takes the lead. Whoa boy, one car slips out of the background. Brandon Fenner plays scrambling way to the inside as his number 34 almost gets a little crossed up. Meanwhile, Amberg and Mashburn still looking to go side by side. Mashburn hanging on, but Amberg wants to get to the podium. He has been pressuring time after time again. Now Major trying to improve his stand within the top 5, but he won't make a move. Ryan Shelton, Ben Mashburn, Ethan Amberg, Motegi Major, all trying to see if they can't have a run at it. Meanwhile, Jason Garcia is trying to see if he can't hunt something down in the background, still within a second of race leader Darling. But Christopher Darling starting to pull away up front. He has now managed to open up a near half-second gap over Ryan Shelton. And Mashburn screams the inside of Shelton, picks up second. Ryan Shelton looks like he may have burned up a lot of his equipment early on. He has now struggled to keep Ethan Amberg at bay. Motegi Major also still in the fray. Amberg could go on the offensive, and now Major trying to overtake that 14 and retake that spot from the outside. He's going to do it. So Ethan Amberg dropping to 5th, Major up to 4th. Garcia still runs in 6th. Look out, Mashburn sliding it out, trying to save it. He won't save it. He's going to go into the inside wall. Mashburn finds the inside, and just like that, his offensive for a win is dusted. Gracias and Amber going at it. Martin Blut still in the mix. Let's try to take a look back on what happened to Ben Mashburn here as he absolutely plummeted out of the top 5 after a wild moment coming off of turn numbers 1 and 2 to the back chute. Just started to kick the tail end out. And just couldn't hang on. It's not a hard hit into the inside wall. He should be able to get that with minimal damage and get it rolling again. But it's a big recovery drive up the road for Mashburn now as he tries to see if he can get himself up and running. Meanwhile, Gracias, Amber, Better Place, and Blut all scrapping it out as well. Better Place almost caught the outside wall again. So for the most part, drivers are still nose to tail, and now single file start to spread out throughout this field. Christopher Darling and Ryan Sheldon still remaining within 0.2 of a second of each other. Cutting back to that in a moment. We got some battle going on at the back of the field. Mashburn on the move, trying to get around Scott Leonard to go on his recovery drive. Behind him, Andrew Levy and Michael Mooney also side by side for positions. How about Levier for BSRO? He had some problems early on, and he's now trying to get himself up and rolling. Meanwhile, oh boy, Michael Mooney with an absolute tank into the outside wall. And that car is broke. You can tell that is not a good handling race car. Take another look at this one for the old guy racing number 88 Mustang. Try to get around Levier and just tracked out. Oh, bobbles it out, and boom, hard hit into the outside wall. So the 88 car going to have a lot of damage that he's got to fix. Battles on for the race lead as well. Shelton trying to retake his race lead from Darling. So Shelton and Darling going to be going at it once again to that battle for the race lead. Shelton retakes it down the front straightaway. Yellow flag will come out. Third caution of the night, and this one comes courtesy once again of Ben Mashburn, it looks like. This number 23 car's day has gone from great to bad to worse. He brings out the third caution flag of the night. This could inadvertently save him. We'll see what happens here under this yellow flag. But you can see him just drifting out way too wide. Pancakes the outside wall, and that causes him to lose it. Leonard just misses him. So does Levier. And he locks it down, slides it down the racetrack, and that forces the yellow before he could get into the inside wall. And now something happened, potentially domestical here. This is under caution, up wide in turns 3 and 4, and suddenly has to bring it to a stop on the racetrack. The whole field, meanwhile, coming down the pit road. Up on the jacks, looking to be 4 tires and fuel for the entire field. No surprises here. They have been out there for almost half the race now. Shelton, first in, first off. Jordan will follow suit. Garcias takes it third. Major fourth, and it's Feder place. Amber, Plute, Branson, Days, and Emerson. And nobody opting for a 2-tire strategy. Some more of the folks that helped keep the lights on for the Speed Cup Series. Tonight's race being brought to you by Twisted Steel Steak Appeal. Twisted Steel Steak Appeal by Marty Plute has a solid punch of sweet and heat flavor that lingers to let you know it's there. Marty Plute is an award-winning steak cook-off association cook and has finally revealed his secret wrestling rub that will blow you away with flavor. Steak, veggies, fish, pork, and poultry. Twisted Steel Steak Appeal is a rub above the rest. And by Simrap Market. Simrap Market offers a variety of products, including number kits, overlays, Vector Smart templates, base designs, patterns, and track camera packages. Your number one stop for iRacing graphic needs. And of course, by Tires Plus Total Car Care. From simple oil changes to brakes and alignments, Tires Plus has service that keeps you in the driver's seat. Other sponsors include Brookstone Animal Hospital, Beer Street Journal, and Max Graphics Design. Yellow flag number 3 out on the afternoon. We are going to see if we can't get ourselves in with the potential run towards the end of the race from here. Just over half of this race to remain. When we return, it's more action from Japan. Welcome back to the Speed Cup Series from Mobility Resort Motegi. We are about set to kick this show back off. We'll restart on lap 42 of 97. Still a lot of action yet to play out here on this Thursday afternoon with over half of this race left to go. Ryan Shelton continues to lead from Christopher Darling, Jason Garcias, and Munatsi Major. Ethan Amberg, Brandon Fetterplace bring it up on row number 3. Ryan Shelton getting set to take this one to the green flag once again into 3 and 4. Green flag is back in the air. We find ourselves back underway from Mobility Resort Motegi. Shelton again with a good jump. And looking for 3 on a few areas down to the turn 1. Nobody commits to it. Garcia still hanging on from Darling. And he's through to second. So Darling going to drop back to third at risk of losing the podium. So he goes side by side with Nazi Major. A few cars stepping it out at the tail end here. Ben Mashburn being blocked way to the inside by Corey Hutchinson. And now 3 wide. Hutchinson takes out Dalton Powell hard into the outside wall. He collects Derek Leonard in a big way. Or Scott Leonard, sorry. So Scott Leonard and Dalton Powell with a monster of a hit up on the high side of turn 3. Boy, oh boy, a messy incident, and it looks like Matthew Mystical may have actually gone around again under this yellow flag. We'll take a look back. The 28 just lunged to the inside, locked up, going into the corner. They were 4 wide for a brief moment, and then hard hit into the outside wall. Scott Leonard got picked fully off the ground. The 42 just narrowly scrapes through that. An absolutely huge hit as, I mean, I don't know where where Corey Hutchinson was going with that. There were a few ways that he could have taken that, and let me tell you what, that was not one of them. I think Hutchinson was just trying to defend against Mashburn and got a little too over-aggressive for his own good. Didn't realize quite where he was. He was never going to make that corner. That car was going to swing wide regardless. I don't think it was intentional at all by any stretch of the means, but definitely far from the cleanest move that we've seen at this racetrack here this afternoon. Let's take a ride on board here with Charles Simmer. As boy, oh boy, what a wild ride that Simmer took. Hang on, because this gets close here. Locks it up going in. Shoots high, makes it through, doesn't touch a thing. And when all that was going on, Matthew Mystical, it looks like, went around. Down on the back straightaway, entering turn 3. And again, same thing. He's just pulled it off to the inside of the racetrack, locks it up big, and smokes up the front tires as he brings it to a stop. Not sure what's been going on for Mystical under these yellow flags as of late. That's going to leave 18 of 25 still on the lead lap. And right now, looks like all bar the 2 just involved in that wreck still out on the racetrack. Some after some early incidents. Coming up on Green Flight TV tomorrow night. Not tomorrow night, sorry. On Sunday night, the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series swings out to the Southern National Motorsports Park for race number 2 of the championship. After a wild one that saw Tommy Cook take his first ASRL win in the season opener at the iRacing Super Speedway just a week ago. The High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series swings out to Bristol Motor Speedway on Monday night. With the OMSRL Cup Series being off, that will take us then to the Beer League, swinging out to Austria. They haven't been to the Red Bull Ring in a good long while. The last time they were there was the Late Model Stock Series, and they ran the national layouts this season. The first time ever that they're going to be running the Grand Prix layout, and it'll be in GT4 machinery as well. Bound to be a thriller on Wednesday nights. And all of this with the next race of the Speed Cup Series swinging on out to the Chicago Street Course for the first of a few road course races of the season, the Lone Street Circuit race, and definitely going to be the most grueling of the bunch for sure. Lights go out, we're green, this time by. Coming around to the back straightaway as this pack is doubled up, ready to go. Christopher Darling did drop to third after he lost that one to Jason Garcias off of the last restart. We didn't make it a lap, seeing if we'll be able to make it a lap this time by. And Darling, no doubt, going to be impatient to try and go after that run once again. But meanwhile, Brandon Fetterplace, the Bowie Esports driver, putting himself back up to fifth. He is looking to be in a dangerous position right now. Once again, took the win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway a week ago and has since driven through this field after starting dead last. He now runs within the top 5 and a serious contender to win this race tonight. Shelton into the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Christopher Darling and Motegi Major going at it. As they will go side by side for third. Darling was not able to attack Garcias for second. In fact, he could even lose third here. Major's able to hang this one around the outside of turn 4. Oh boy, a few drivers swinging up wide. Joey Barrett pushed out of the groove. Same for Josh Emerson. Up the road, Darling, Major, and Moore still on a huge tear. Darling takes it low. While Jason Garcias is really starting to hound the back of Ryan Shelton. Major cuts to the inside as he clears Fetterplace. Ethan Amber wants to go. He locks up going down to the turn 3 and can't get the move done. Meanwhile, Garcias looking to move Shelton up and out of the way. And the championship contenders from season 2, side by side, down the front stretch. Garcias takes that one down to turn 1. Garcias hangs on, Shelton second, Darling third, Major fourth, Fetterplace brings it up at the top 5. Motegi Major looking to scream that one down to the inside of Darling down to turn 1, couldn't get the nose in. Brandon Fetterplace still tagging on behind Motegi Major as well. Further down the rear, Josh Emerson, Stan Hausman, Andy Levier. Looking like they want to try to find an inroad here as well, but without any room to take anything. They've got to rely on some of these drivers further up the field to make those ever increasingly critical mistakes. So Shelton, Darling, Major, Fetterplace, all line astern. Jason Garcia starting to pull away. Scott Leonard has taken his car down to the pit road, still with a lot of that heavy damage from that prior incident. Dalton and Powell never made it off of pit road. This race continues, though, well into its second half with under 50 laps to go. There you see again, Mystical coming off of pit road. Further behind, Darling still trying to fend off Motegi Major, and Brandon Fetterplace with that nose in there as well, seeing if he can't make a look. Down the front chute, will there be a move down to turn number 1? Major's close enough, he could have a dive if he wanted to, but he won't commit. Might be trying to set something up around the long way with the Max Graphics Racing number 11 Toyota. You see just how good of a drive he gets coming off of turn number 2 there and down the backstretch. Just couldn't make the look. So he'll close right back to the tail end. A lot of this fog starting to lift. That's going to allow for the track to start to heat up as well as this race moves along. Could that have anything to do with how this race could pan out? Garcia slips up. He'll give the lead up to Ryan Shelton. Now 3 wide down the front stretch for the Motegi Major. Darling powering into second, but Motegi Major trying to get it back. Here comes Feather Place trying to make a look around the high side. Feather Place trying to get a drive in, and oh boy, a huge slap to the wall for Brandon Feather Place. That could cost him some serious ground. Jason Garcia's down low. Feather Place and Feather Place and Garcia still side by side as Jason Garcia's lost that lead with a huge bobble coming off of turn number 4. And you can already see how much that car twitched coming down off the corner, and that just put him in a really bad place that he is still struggling to recover from. He cannot get that car tucked in line. He now fights it out with Ethan Amberg. He may have smoked those tires when he slipped up off of turn 4, and now he has not been able to get the hammer down ever since. Two by two, with Shelton pulling away for the lead. Major still battling it out with Christopher Darling. Feather Place can't get the look in. This right here, the lone side-by-side grudge match out on the racetrack, and it's for some of the most important spots on the grid. Major's proven as a driver that can very much finish on the podium in this championship. He has done so before in the Speed Cup Series. Now we just get set to see if he's really going to be able to get that in that we know he's looking for. Feather Place looking to the inside. Feather Place still trying to go 2 for 2 as Ryan Shelton continues to hang on for that race lead, but Darling has been looking to close. Here comes Motegi Major once again, trying to get a huge look around. Now, if this works out the way he hopes, then this will be absolutely huge for him. Shelton continuing to hang on for the race lead still. Major has podiumed 4 times. One of those was a race win at the National Super Speedway. This track could be right up his alley. We could just find some more momentum underneath him. Ethan Amberg also entered the fray, so one of the rookies as well, trying to see if he can't make a look. Right now, the top 9 all in a thick battle pack, separated by 1.8 seconds. Feather Place once again looking for the outside, trying to drive it in. Amberg hangs on. Here goes Darling to the inside of Shelton. Deep into turn number 3. Darling's got the nose in there. We saw this play out last time, but Ryan Shelton just lost a lot of that speed to the mid-run of these stints, but started to gain it back in the long run. Can Shelton hang on, or will Darling take him? And will Shelton have to wait until later to get that speed back? Shelton's going to tuck in line. So Christopher Darling up into the lead of this race, and Shelton going to have to try to see if he can't hang on from the rest of this field and try to get a run going further in the night. Flute, meanwhile, seeing if he can't look to the outside of Jason Garcias to pick up another spot. And he will have to tuck in the line as well as Jason Garcias standing his ground, not allowing for Plute to get a nose in, although not for lack of trying. Plute's into the outside wall. He'll hang on, though, and that opens up the door for Garcias to try to look down the inside of Ethan Amberg. Garcias attacks down to the 3 and 4. Off the corner, Amberg sweeps out wide, hugging that outside wall all the way down the front straightaway, right off of 4. Just a few feet in front of them, Motegi Major under fire. Brandon Fetterplace also trying to open up the outside. Once again, neither driver able to make a look. Oh boy, Ethan Amberg almost turned by Garcias. Ben Mashburn will try to get an in on that one instead. But we nearly had a repeat of what we saw earlier in the day. Matthew Mystical spun sideways, stopped on the backstretch, looking like he found the inside wall. No caution yet. Here come the leaders off of turn 2. And he'll take the toe. Jumping back for a look, the 509 just steps it out. Overcorrected. He did a good job, though, to get that car wrenched down the inside, did not want to force another yellow flag. And he did a good job on making sure that he put that car in a position where it would not come out. So Shelton and Fetterplace still go side by side for the number 2 spot. Darling pulling out a lead of 3/10. But still just over 30 laps to go. There's a lot of race left in action here tonight. It's only a matter of when does the next shoe drop. Ben Mashburn coming down to pit road. The number 23 couldn't make it to the end, so he'll be down and into the pits. That leaves the rest of this field almost guarantee has to come down to pit road again. Michael Mooney being lapped way up to the top side of the racetrack. Sorry, no, that's Scott Leonard being lapped way to the outside, letting through the field. Amberg and Major going down to the bottom. And Motegi Major is in there as well. Major trying to see if he can't get a run going around the outside. Ethan Amberg cuts it down and in. He's not going to get there. So still looking to see who's going to come out on top of this one, with Christopher Darling pulling ahead by 0.4 of a second now. This leading pack started to break apart after Ben Mashburn came down to pit road. I think some drivers might be starting to realize just how much time is left. Looking like they want to start to conserve some of that equipment. Other battles throughout the field, you've got Sedarius Days and Tim Branton loosely tucked in by about a second. Further behind them, you've got Joey Barrett and Josh Emerson. Standhausen trying to fend off Jason Taylor as the 41 tries to make a charge at the field. And then just behind them, you've got Andy Levier starting to really run down the Ford Motorcraft machine of Corey Hutchinson. Hutchinson and Levier both involved in incidents earlier tonight. Better place, meanwhile, to the inside of Major. And they're scrapping it out for third. So Major, Fetter Place, and Amberg started to see if they can't go out of them, make some moves for positions. Meanwhile, Shelton, I think he's biding his time. Ryan Shelton, we saw this in the very first stint that went long like this in the race. Yeah, he lost the leader early on, but he allowed for his the driver running away with it to burn up all of their equipment, thinking that they were gaining, and then used all of that late run pace to run them down and just blitz around them. Now the question is, will we see something similar to that? Lap times so far are holding about even. What that's telling me is that Shelton is looking to just keep Darling within striking distance. He doesn't want to get too far out. He doesn't want to let him get too far in front, but he knows that he can't afford to push too early. I think Shelton is relying on this race going long. Sedarius Days for Highline Motorsports coming down into pit road with 24 laps to go. Matthew Mystical, after taking 6 minutes in the box, he is making his way back out onto the racetrack. So Mystical going to be out and about once again. Further behind, Hutchinson did manage to get around Levier. They were scrapping it out pretty aggressively for a little while here. And then Hutchinson was able to get back out in front. Take a look as this is again a few laps ago. Hutchinson just slipped up in 3 and 4. Levier got through. But then just 2 laps later, Corey Hutchinson passed him back. Levier made the same mistake, but this time in the same corner. And that time, Levier nearly went into the outside wall. Josh Emerson still trying to see if he can't fend off Joey Barrett, as Barrett and Emerson going to remain in lockstep. Just in front of them, another lap car. That's the number 12 of Sedarius Days, one of the Highline Motorsports drivers, Joey Barrett, back to the inside of Emerson. Oh, and they make contact in the battle for 8th. Emerson up top, Joey Barrett down low. And Emerson going to take that one. I think Joey Barrett let him have that one. Didn't want to show any malice after they made a little bit of contact. Oh, Mystical off again and into the inside wall. So more problems for Matthew Mystical. Oh boy, that car has found the outside wall in a huge way. What happened here? It was already found the outside wall even way back when. Take another jump back. Oh boy! Huge hit into the fence from Matthew Mystical. Just got loose. Coming through 3 and 4, clipped the apron and then overcorrected and shot up and just pounded the outside wall right in front of Joey Barrett. Jumping further back in the field, up into the wall goes Charles Simmer as Sedarius Days sweat through on the bottom. I think Simmer's right now just trying to see if he can't make it to the end of this race. Under 20 laps to go, and the battle still remains for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and more. Feta Place, meanwhile, seeing if he can hang on. Munatzi Major just behind. So far, even Ryan Shelton anymore hasn't had an answer for Christopher Darling way up the road. And they've now started to really open up a gap back to 3rd on down. So this does look like it's going to be a 2-horse race up front. And these drivers behind, they're just battling for the final podium spot. Even further behind, Joey Barrett and Josh Emerson still embroiled in their grudge match as they traded hands again a few times on this lap. Joey Barrett held the inside of Josh Emerson. Emerson, though, slipped a little wide, but then immediately battled that one back around the high side. Unable to hang on. Joey Barrett took the spot, so he runs now in 8th. With Barrett now 0.6 of a second up the road, I think Joey Barrett can now start to drive away pretty comfortably into that number 8 spot and try to get himself up with a good points finish here this afternoon. He's on the move. Other drivers still have yet to settle their own little grudge matches deeper in the field. So battle still on for the race lead, and right now this fight for the lead is the closest battle on the racetrack between any 2 cars. As I say that, the Emerson and Taylor battle start to pick up. Josh Emerson looking like he might be starting to slip back as Jason Taylor's on the move, and could Taylor look to put himself up 10 positions on the day? He's already up 9. Started his race way back in 19th and now trying to go up one more. He's going to move Emerson up and out of the way. Hang on, I'm coming through, said the Black Flag Motorsports driver. And Jason Taylor up 10 spots. He is into 9th. Good show there for Jason Taylor. Started to drive away with that run. Meanwhile, Darley and Shelton now. Closest fight on the racetrack again, but still with half a second separating. Once again, coming up on Greenfly TV, you've got the SRL Next Gen Cup Series running down from the Southern National Motorsports Park. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series goes out to the last Great Coliseum. They'll duke it out around Bristol, Tennessee for the second race in the round of 8. Only 3 races left to go in what has been an ever-intensifying Monday Night Cup Series championship. And then, July 31st, to close out July, the Beer League swings out to the Red Bull Ring. Their first trip around the full Grand Prix layout over in Austria. 3 shows you're not going to want to miss. As well as that, you can really start to see here just how much Shelton has started to reel in Christopher Darling. That top-end pace really starting to come into play once again as his tires have not dropped off as much. So Shelton on the move. We got to fight for the lead on our hands. This and the battle for third, the only 2 fights so far on the racetrack that are within a second of each other. On board with the number 99 as Shelton throws that one deep into turn number 3, trying to see if he can't make something happen. Further in the field, you ride on board with Motegi Major. He is still chasing after Brandon Fetterplace. Fetterplace trying to double up the podiums. But you can tell these drivers starting to save a little bit of fuel. They might not be safe to go to the end of this race, which would definitely explain why we've been seeing a lot of them backing up that pace a bit more. We have already seen a few drivers come on down under this green flag run, those being Levier, Branson, Sedarius Days has come in, Charles Simmer has been in. So quite a few drivers with some big question marks over their heads. Further behind, a move about to take place. Ben Mashburn still on that recovery drive after he found the inside wall earlier on. Runs around the outside of Mark McFadden. McFadden is saving fuel like there's no tomorrow. Ben Mashburn running up in 13th. He is pitted earlier in this run. He is good to go to the end. He was one of the first drivers to pit almost 40 laps ago now. He now finds his way to 13th. I don't think that was the move to put himself to a race win, but it has certainly been good enough for a spot near the top 10, but he slips up and nearly loses it out of turn 4. Meanwhile, Joey Barrett, Jason Taylor is still scrapping it out for 8th. Jason Taylor, another one of those drivers that pitted a little while after Joey Barrett, about 7 laps after under the next caution. And that gives Taylor just enough fuel to make it to the end. He's going to hunt to the inside of Barrett. And this should be a relatively easy pass of the 41 car. He is through to 8th. So Taylor continuing with his strong drives, up 11 spots now, well into the top 10. Darling couldn't make it. Your race leader is into pit road with 6 laps to go on the docket. Ryan Shelton takes the race lead. It's all a question of fuel. So it's all eyes now on the race leader to see if he's going to end up being forced into pit road in the closing stages of this race. Christopher Darling just leaving pit road, and he is now fallen almost a lap behind. No tires for Darling, just fuel to get him to the end. Jason Taylor looks like he's not done hunting, trying to make a run to 6th. At the same time, Ben Mashburn trying to overtake Hutchinson, but Hutchinson sweeps across the nose. Mashburn cuts to the inside. and put Ben Mashburn up to 12. Jason Taylor now has caught Jason Garcia. He's going to make a lunge to the inside, and that should be, again, another easy overtake down to the turn one. Josh Emerson couldn't make it. He's down to pit road with less than 5 to go. Garcia's trying to hold on for that spot, but I think Taylor's going to get him here down to the turn two. Taylor now up 13 and into 6th. He's got him. Fetter Place and Major Still both dropping off like stones. Meanwhile, Ryan Shelton driving it out there. 2 laps to go, this time by. Does he have the fuel to make it to the end? One thing's for sure, Shelton not saving fuel. He may have done enough in the early portions of this race to be able to make it, to be good to go to the end of this race. A lap and a half to go. Fetter Place and Major Still dropping back. Neither driver able to contend with Shelton if Shelton's got enough fuel to make the distance. White flag, 1 lap to go from Mobility Resort Motegi. Shelton's just got to make it another 1.5 miles. Rounding turn 2, down the back straightaway. Ben Mashburn waiting in the wings. Mashburn looking to unlap himself. He'll take it to the inside, but he's going to give Shelton the room he needs to finish the job. Ryan Shelton able to save enough, and he will take his first win of the season, 0 to hero, as Shelton takes that one at Mobility Resort Motegi. Meanwhile, Fetter Place just able to hang on for a second on the drag race. Munati Major runs out of fuel on the final lap. Coming to the stripe for Christopher Darling, he's going to be wondering what could have been. He might be able to get around Stanhausen, but it's a disappointing finish when he was so far up the order earlier in the day. A big day, though, for Ryan Shelton. This puts him right back into contention. What a wild afternoon for this number 99. He'll get to burn it down as the race winner of round number 2. And the points runner-up taking his first win of the season. A wild finish overall here this afternoon. Fuel mileage races, never races to disappoint. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon from round number 2 across the pond. Ryan Shelton takes home the race win. Brandon Fetterplace brought it home in second. Munati Major was in third. Martin Blue takes it home in fourth. Ethan Amberg in fifth. Jason Taylor was in sixth. Jason Garcias in seventh. Stan Hausman in eighth. Christopher Darling finishes his race down in ninth with Ben Mashburn, the first one to lap off, down in 10th. From there was Sedarius Days, Tim Branson, Joey Barrett, Josh Emerson, and Mark McFadden for the top 15. Corey Hutchinson, Andrew Levier, Charles Simmer, Michael Mooney, and well, that'll do it for the cars that finished this race. Then Scott Leonard, Jason Shue, Matthew Mystical, Dalton Powell, Bobby Anderson, and Doug Milliner all going to be marked as DNFs here this afternoon in a 25-car field. Boy, that was an exciting finish there for sure. It was all the tension as to whether or not Sheldon was going to be able to make the last pushes to get to the end of that race. Well, we'll get the chance to talk to the Vincent Motorsports driver now, as Ryan Shelton absolutely had to drive for this one here this afternoon. Let's take a rundown and give a chit-chat to the driver that comes home with his first race win of the season. And Ryan, this must feel vindicating after having one taken away from you quite possibly at the Brickyard just a week ago. Now you're able to stand atop the podium.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a race like this. Didn't really. I don't love fuel mileage races, especially when you have to save 7 laps on a green flag run. It's just not the most fun thing for me. But we finished up in first, so I'll take it.
Kind of walk us through this race as a whole. We often saw you losing a bit of that pace in the mid-run and then coming in big right at the end, but that last run had to have been a tough one.
Yeah, overall, I felt like I had the fastest car, especially when we were full throttle. I had thought that Chris was going to be able to save enough fuel there at the end of the race, and it was going to be troublesome to keep up with him, but it really scared me all the way up until he said when he had to pit. So it was a lot of fun though.
Well, looking forward to the championship as a whole. Last season, the battle really did come down between you and Jason Gracias for much of the season, and obviously you're looking like you're going to be one of those front runners once again. Are you looking to take the fight to the number 1 for season 3?
I think there are more players in this championship for sure. Better Place obviously is a first and a second. Ethan Amberg has started to show speed. And you know, obviously Gracias, Major's gotten faster. Plute has gotten faster. So everybody's gotten faster. Darling is really quick. He's getting faster too. So I don't think it's a 2-horse race this year. I think we're going to have to step our game up if we're going to have another 2-horse race again.
Well, there's no better place to step the game up than at the Chicago Street Circuit coming on up next week. Congratulations on taking your race win. We'll see you in the Windy City.
Absolutely, and hopefully I get to do this again.
Ryan Shelton comes home as he is able to walk away with the race win here this afternoon, as Brandon Fetterplace will be the one to come home with the number 2 spot. Doubles up the podiums this afternoon, and Brandon, it is a huge drive for you once again, just able to outlast Motegi Major on the fuel mileage game. Talk us through the night.
I wasn't even sure if I was going to make the field, so I joined pretty late with no practice and just kind of winged it, and I am beyond excited and happy with my finish. I really had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of learning on the fly, so this is the best that I could hope for.
It was a very solid drive for you this afternoon. The fuel game was a big story throughout the last 30 laps or so of that race. Fuel mileage races, is that something where you tend to thrive in, or could you do without them?
I could do without it. I'm not normally the best fuel saver. I realized when I was trying to actually get the lead that I was 4 laps short, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going anywhere. I need to try and save, and I fell off pretty hard from those guys, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to make it. I kind of just, made my bed, and that was what it was. So I noticed I barely made it. I actually ran out of fuel crossing the line, and I was just talking to Motegi, and he said that he ran out coming out of 4. So we were definitely close.
Talking about race number 3 next week, the strategy game is going to be a lot more predictable to the Chicago Street Circuit without there being any yellow flags on the table. Street Circuit racing, though, not something these Cup cars typically are designed for. What's going to be the game plan for the Windy City?
Ultimately, it is don't outdrive yourself. There's going to be, people who are going to crash. There are going to be crashes, and you really need to keep your nose clean, keep it out of the fence. And just try to put down consistent lap times, and I think he'll do pretty well there. So I'm excited for that race. I actually like Chicago Street Course. I've done a ton of practice there in other places, so we'll see what happens.
All right, we'll get set to see you then for race number 3. We'll see if you'll be going for the hat trick on the podium game. For now, congratulations on taking 2 for 2, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Brandon Fetterplace comes home for the Bowie Esports number 34, takes it home in that number 2 spot. We'll move on down to Motegi Major, the driver that closes out the podium. And, well, Motegi, you ran out of fuel just coming off at turn number 4, but what a charge you were putting to Fetterplace there in the closing laps.
Yeah, honestly, like, I thought that there was going to be another caution at some point in that last run. So when we took the restart, I was just kind of like going hard, racing normally, trying to get to the lead. And then once the field kind of thinned out, I was like, oh, I guess, should probably try to make it to the end. And I thought I was going to be short. I don't know how I was able to stretch it. Luckily, this is the kind of track where like you can really throw it in on entry. So I was just clutching in and coasting the whole time, hoping I'd be able to save enough. And like you said, I ran out like 200 yards short. Felt like Lightning McQueen in that Cars movie where he's like struggling to get to the line. But luckily was able to hang on to third. It was super fun racing with all the guys in the front, Ryan, Brandon, Chris, Ben, Ethan. Like, it was a lot of slicing and dicing and turned into a fuel mileage race. Kind of had a little bit of everything.
You're able to walk away with a solid podium finish. It's your first podium of the season. We saw you walk away with 4 of them in season number 2. Are you going to be looking to best that number then for the 3rd season here?
Hopefully, there's obviously some really good competition, but I'm hoping. I mean, it's a good start to the season so far, so I'm hoping I'm able to carry that momentum going forward.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us up here tonight. Congratulations on taking your first podium of the season. We'll see if it'll be the first of many as we swing out to the Chicago Street Circuit a week from today.
Appreciate it. See you guys next week.
Motegi Major comes home 3rd place at the end of the night, and well, with that, that's going to be about all the time we're going to have for one afternoon. Boy, oh boy, though. What a wild ride this was here this afternoon. An absolute barn burner from start to finish, and there is still a lot to play for when we go racing just 1 week from now in the Windy City. For now, though, it's about time for us to say farewell. Don't forget to check out the ASRL Next Gen Cup Series and their 2nd race at the Southern National Motorsports Park coming on up on Sunday night. On Monday night, the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series will go to Bristol Motor Speedway for the 2nd race in the round of 8. Gloves going to come off as we will go to war in the Coliseum. And then with all of this, you're going to, of course, going to have the Beer League coming on now for their 2nd race of the season down at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Boy, what a night it's going to be on Wednesday night. And it'll be another wild race as well for Thursday night action coming on up for the Speed Cup Series. It's the Chicago Street Circuit just 1 week from today. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Manola Rempel. Thank you so much for joining us on Thursday night. We'll see you next week in Illinois.